All right, I am ready to get started. Welcome. Hope y'all are doing good. Hello, I am Grizzhoot the Owl Bear. I like to make video games and sometimes also play them. I'm working on this silly frog game, and I am streaming the entire thing, start to finish, from when I first started making this game to when I eventually launch it, to where you can download it and play it. The whole process is documented here on Twitch and on my YouTube channel. I code live in front of everyone. You can make fun of my bad coding if you want, or you can ask questions if you're curious about what I'm doing. Let me recap what we got done recently. We took yesterday off, but on Monday we did a little bit of work on swimming, and we also added a bonk state slash knockback state for when you take damage or when you bonk into something. You can bonk onto stairs if you roll, or you can get knocked back by spikes. Get coins, increase your score. Got bounce pads. Got a vanishing platform. Got moving platforms. Got backflips, we got ground pounds. Got hammer attacks that don't really do anything right now. You can crawl. And as of actually I disabled swimming because I was working on doing some refactoring, so there is a swimming state, it just doesn't quite work correctly, so it's not hooked up right now. And we also have, you know, basic things like a trigger that just like a toggle trigger, so you can step into it and change state. Have a trigger that kicks off a timer. So just an example, you can turn something on and off when the timer starts and stops. And we also have interaction, so you can interact with the sign to read it. And you can get killed by a saw blade. That's what we got so far. Today I'm going to be working a little bit more on the swimming, I think. So some of the things I need to figure out for the swimming. So right now I had it set up to immediately as soon as you enter the water, it sets your state to the swimming state, which isn't exactly what we want, because you can, you know, in this case here we have a ramp that goes into the water, and so we don't want to start swimming until we're like deep enough in the water. I think I basically need to find the top surface, the height of the top surface of the water. And so like you can be grounded and like still walking, but then once you're a certain distance from the top surface of the water, that's when you'll start swimming, I think is how it should work. I'm not doing full 3-dimensional swimming, it's just gonna be swimming on the surface. So let's look at our water volume script. So right now, we have a function that will get the depth of the water, which I don't think is necessarily what we want. I thought it was, because I was just kind of coding as I went. But I think I'm gonna change it so this, not this function here, but I will make a way to get the top surface of the water, which will be like the y position of a vector 3. So it'll be a float. It'll be a water surface y position. Right now it's just gonna return 0 so it doesn't error. We gotta think through how we want to do this. I think part of it will be the, I don't know why I'm doing extents.z. I think it should be .y here, but the so I think what we're going to need to do is we're gonna need to get the center of the collider, and we're gonna need to get the y bounds, and we're gonna half the y bounds, and add that to the center, and then add that to the y position. I think that's how we that surface right. We'll say we want to add half of the extent return surface position. Actually, I'm gonna, just to debug this more easily, I'm gonna make surface Y. I'm gonna make that a serialized variable so I can debug it in the inspector. So I'm gonna comment this out for now. And I'm gonna do Unity has this function called onValidate, and onValidate will run every it's basically only for editor stuff, but we can kind of hijack it for reading stuff from the collider. We'll say I plus collider dot dot hence dot y divided by 2. We put the F on the end so it knows it's a float. So this will probably work for this use case that we have right now, but I don't think it will work for all cases. Thing 0.8 and some other stuff. So let's see. Let's say we had an empty object, put it at, grab this value, we'll plug it in. So this point should be on the surface. It looks like it's not. And I think that's probably because this this water volume is scaled. So say times transform that scale y. That's probably not gonna give us a. Probably want to add this. Add not Still not quite right. Let me just do a quick Google really fast. Gonna be position plus I think that will do. That's farther up. just uh, uh, so this should just make it a little bit simpler to debug so we can not have to copy and paste values. It should just put this yeah. Should be the transforms X and Z, but the Y from the surface. Didn't. Okay, so the extents are already halved. We'll need part of it. Say we like scale that up. It seems like it's working. Change that. Go ahead and okay, I think I see what the problem is. I think just say let's debug center. So I think the center is in world space, not local space, even though the center here is in local. Okay, so we didn't need to add the transforms Y, we just needed the world center. Okay. Okay. So now that we have that, then okay. We don't need this anymore. Don't need go. Our state machine here. We can see if transform.position.y is less than water volume dot water surface position y, then is water or is in water is true. And we'll change state to swim idle state, and then okay, so that should fix the cases where we were swimming when we shouldn't have been swimming, and this is already, I know, gonna cause a problem, but I want to test it. So basically this will just say like this will keep you from walking on the water. So we need to have like a height offset. Swim height offset. I'm almost winning. Alright, so we have a problem now where we're transitioning from our swimming state to our not swimming state very rapidly. Problem. So part of that is we're not have say it's 1.2. Yeah. You excited for the Nintendo Direct today? I'm gonna have to like end my stream a little bit before 4 o'clock so I can watch that. So this is actually like almost working. The problem is we're transitioning out of the swimming state and back into the swimming state super rapidly. But we fixed the issue where, like, you know, you walk into the water and then you immediately start swimming. Like, you shouldn't start swimming until you're a certain depth in the water. So we got that working. So I think we just need to say So if we're already in the water, don't transition. Gonna get rid of this else for now. We do want on the exit water. We'll set is in water. Alright, so and the height isn't quite correct, but we're closer. I think the height needs to be closer to like 0.8, something like that. Yeah, I really hope they mention something about Metroid. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some Zelda stuff, which obviously I'm hyped for. Always hyped for Zelda news. Yeah, I'd love to see some Metroid stuff. They did mention in the announcement for the direct that it was gonna be about games that were gonna be released in the first half of this year. So honestly, I'm not holding my breath for Metroid. Because I don't think it's gonna come out in the first half of this year. Yeah, I did see that it's gonna be $70, which I don't hate. Yeah, so I think they might talk about Advanced Wars, maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, games didn't really increase in price with inflation, so they're, you know, they're kind of cheaper than they should be, but also more expensive than they should be. It's one of those weird middle areas, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other things would be cool to see. Yeah, he swim. Looking way better. I just need to account for the opposite side of it now, because like he shouldn't be swimming now. He should transition to walking at like the same height that he would transition to swim. Oh. Yeah. Uh, um. Yeah. Trying to think of how I would do that. Yeah, so I guess one way to do that would be to have like a waiting state that you'd go to in between walking and swimming and walking. This is very apt music for talking about swimming in video games. I'm here for it. Aquatic Ambience is one of my favorite video game songs of all time. Yeah. I think the problem was the else. Let's see. Is in the water. And oh yeah. Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. I think part of the problem with my transition was because this was an and I was doing an else. If either of the conditions were met, then it was executing the else. But I wanted I only want to check if you're above that water height if you're already in the water. I think that'll fix it somewhat. We'll see. But yeah, I do think maybe tweaking that value with an additional offset or something. Swim, swim, swim. Walk. Yeah, that works how I wanted it to. Or at least how I expected it to. This is the best swimming implementation I've written before. But that's not really saying much, because the other ones that I've done have been very bad. I think it needs to be... Yeah, I did for a really old project that was way too ambitious, and it was for basically what was going to be a smooth voxel crafting survival MMO. And like we were using like an asset store like RPG kit, but the RPG kit didn't include swimming, so I had to like retrofit that, and it didn't really work very well. But I mean, it did work, but it was real bad. And then like for some other prototype things, I've tried to implement swimming and didn't go super well. This is actually pretty good. Like I'm pretty happy with this. Especially for the amount of time I've put into it. Like, you know, I did a couple few hour streams, and I wasn't even focusing entirely on the water the whole time for any of them. And I already have like a pretty decent swimming system. I need to add some like effects, so when you enter the water, there's like splashes and... Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely have been feeling like I'm like growing as a programmer and designer, which is a really nice feeling and one that I hadn't had in a while. Sometimes it just takes working on the right project and also, you know, taking a good long break to reset. What do I want to do next? Yeah. I want to fix the controls a little bit, so so the individual states can like modify the input relative to the camera instead of relative to the character, I should say, rather than raw input values. Trello. I got to check off treading water and surface swimming. So that's pretty cool. I still have a big list of things that I want to. I'm trying to figure out, like, prioritizing the ones that will add the most. Oh, I didn't check off bonk. Obviously, like, I feel like ledge hanging and ledge climb and ledge shimmy will probably add a... I have like a vague idea of how I would do that. I think I basically need to, like, in front of the character, be casting rays down, from like a point in space, like in front of and above. And then if they hit something, then also cast a ray, or maybe cast a ray forward and then cast a ray down from the point that that first ray hits, if it hits something, to determine, like, okay, there's like a corner, and then if you press forward, or if you're falling, grab that ledge, and that will put you in a ledge hang state, and then you press left or right, you'll shimmy left or right, and then if you press up or jump, you'll up to the top of the ledge, and if you press down, you'll drop into a fall state. I think that is probably how I'll do it. And, like, probably only doing that check in certain states too. Like, you know, if you're swimming, you should probably be able to grab onto the ledge on the other side. But that might be a separate state, like a climb out of water state. But, like, yeah, I should probably be able to grab that ledge, mantle up. I'm really happy with how the bonk state turned out. I think playing Ocarina of Time randomizer kind of gave me the push of, like, bonk into trees and knock things out of them. That's kind of cool. I think once I get this this frog game to a certain state, I'm probably gonna steal the state machine and character controls from it, and also make a Zelda style movement system with it. Movement and combat, I should say. with lock on and stuff. And I've also been thinking about like some art direction things. Like, I kind of want to build an art style that I can share among a lot of games, or like a handful of games, so I can reuse a lot of assets between them. Like, I shouldn't have to make, you know, like unique trees and rocks and grass for every game. Especially if I'm like outsourcing some of it too, I might see if I can get a lot of use out of it. Actually, I think before I add a ledge hang, I think I might want to add some basic enemy type stuff. I think I have enough now that I have, you know, running and swimming and jumping and everything. I'm gonna take a quick break and think about it a little bit, and I'll be right back. I am back. And I have decided I'm gonna work on adding an enemy to the game. So, let me think through some of the things that enemy so the enemy will probably have at least one state machine, if not two. Because we'll probably have one state machine that's sort of like the brain, and then another state machine that controls the actual like individual states. But maybe we can do it with just one. I'm not entirely sure best way of doing that. And we'll need some like sensors and stuff as well. So let's see. We'll start off with a empty. I'll call it basic enemy. Put it on the enemy layer, and we'll make start with a capsule. We'll make it red. All right. See the visuals. Because we're gonna do similar to what we did with the player, and we're gonna add a cube so we can kind of see the direction that they're looking. All right. So, let's see. What are some of the things we're gonna need? We're gonna need a nav mesh agent. They've actually made quite a few interesting updates to the nav mesh stuff in recent releases of Unity. What else do we want? We probably want a some sort of like vision sphere that we can make a cone out of. So we'll make vision sphere like let's just give it a radius of 3. And we'll basically we'll use the trigger enter of the sphere. And then we'll do a raycast from the character to see if there's anything in between this, like the object that's detected by the trigger and the character. And if we're casting the rays from a single point here, that will effectively be a cone. It'll sort of be a cone. And then we also want to have just like an awareness sphere, also a trigger. So basically, if the player can get out of the awareness sphere, then the enemy will leave them alone. And the awareness sphere is going to be 5? No, probably more like 8. And we're going to set these to only draw one selected. So those will be our basic sensors. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I only did the first stream on YouTube because Twitch was down the first day I wanted to stream. I should have let you know that I do my streams on Twitch. Anyway, I'll do a quick recap of what I've gotten done for those of you just now joining. So we got this silly frog guy. Can run around. What we just finished working on a little bit ago was we have this water volume that you can swim in now. So we basically made a little pool. and you can like wade into the water, and then you don't actually start swimming until you get to a certain depth of water. I had swimming working earlier in the week, but it was you were swimming basically as soon as you touched the water, and I wanted to make it so you only swam on the surface. So I had to do a little bit of math to get the top of the water and then have a little offset. So once when you enter the water, it checks the offset between the top of the water and where the character is, and if it's over a certain amount, then it goes into the swim, and when it's less than that amount, it exits the swim. You can get in and out of the water. I added cool things like backflips and ground pounds, and you have a hammer. And on Monday I added a bonk, so you can roll into things and bonk off. Bonk. And you also get knocked back when you take damage. And we got vanishing platforms. And we got some different kinds of triggers, so you can like interact with things with a button. And we can like trigger things based on triggers that you can, like, trigger volume that you bump into can trigger an effect in the world. Like set off a timer. So I can set up little challenges where you have to sort of. And we also have triggers that can toggle on and off. And I just started working on adding an enemy, which I now realize is the enemy layer is not set to render by the camera, so I need to fix that. Yeah. I'm happy with how it's coming along. So we just added this this thing that's going to be an enemy. So we have the enemy has got a vision sphere. So basically, like, when the player enters the vision sphere, the enemy will become aware of them. And then, as long as the player is in this awareness sphere, the enemy will try to chase them and attack them. And as soon as they exit the awareness sphere, the enemy will lose track of them and go back to whatever they were doing before until they see the enemy again. Or see the player again. But I also need to add a damage trigger. This one's gonna be pretty similar to the... Give it a radius of like 0.25 and a height, or height of 2.25 and a radius of 0.75. So you'll get damaged when you're like just a little close to the trigger. Damage. I'll also give the enemy give them health. I'll have a health of 1. We take damage if the enemy bumps into us or we bump into the enemy. And we can go ahead and make our basic enemy script. I did create the script. Not attached to anything, and it doesn't do anything right now. Yeah. Start with we'll have a target transform that they'll try to chase. Yeah, I also need to generate a nav mesh for this scene. I don't remember how nav meshes work in the new system. We're gonna mark some things as static. A nav mesh is it's a navigation mesh. So let me show you a quick thing that kind of so it's for having objects that are called agents be able to navigate a 3D space. It basically just gives them, it's like a simplified version of the world geometry that basically just tells them where they're allowed to be, and they'll kind of they'll generate paths along the nav mesh to reach a target. But they recently, or somewhat recently, changed the way that it works, and cool. I clicked the link that's like, this window will be deprecated. Go to this menu. For details, visit the Unity manual. And when I click it, it takes me to a broken page. Because the so this is kind of like an example of what it does. So basically it generates like this really low resolution, basically just like a flat version of the world, and the nav mesh agents can move on that nav mesh. Wait, can you... Okay, so we can still generate nav meshes. It's just saying that it will be obsolete, but it's not obsolete right now. We want to make this moving saw blade nav mesh obstacle. You want you also want the moving platform, the nav mesh obstacle. So when I run this now, the saw blade and the moving platform should basically like carve out of the nav mesh. But basically the nav mesh agent will try to avoid these. So in our enemy script, we also want to have a reference to the nav mesh agent. And in order to do that, we need to say using community engine.ai. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's still going to be a nav mesh. It's just going to be generated in a different way. So the way that nav meshes currently work is it generates like this data file that lives in a folder that's next to your scene. So it's basically just like it has all the data of what the nav mesh is, and I think the new way that they're going to do it is like you create some geometry, you know, like a sphere or whatever, and then on that you add a nav mesh surface, and you tell it like the details of it, and then when you bake it, let's try this, the new way of doing it. So let's see. We'll open up the deprecated thing. We'll clear the nav mesh, and we'll grab the ground. We'll grab this. Yeah, we'll start with the ground. We'll add a nav mesh surface. We'll hit bake. And we can set like the type of surface it is, so you can flag certain things as not walkable. I don't know why there's a hole here. So we can set it to only do things that are on the default layer. I guess this kind of makes sense. So it's basically, instead of the nav mesh living outside of your scene, it lives in the scene, and you can have multiple nav meshes in the same scene, which before you could only have one nav mesh in your scene. And this will allow you to like make nav meshes part of prefabs and like load multiple scenes and have linked nav meshes that way. I think that's the idea anyway. Alright, so we're gonna add some script. We're gonna make one that's I'm just gonna make a folder that's called AI, and then we'll make we'll make a vision sensor. Yeah, the holes are basically just telling the nav mesh that there's something there. So the the nav mesh agent should avoid it or like go around it. But like it shouldn't be including the coins, and I don't know like why there's just this chunk here that's empty. Alright, so we have a vision sensor script, and the script is gonna have gonna use Unity events, Unity engine dot events, and we'll say public Unity event. Difference between a Unity action. Actually, this will be a transform. We'll say pivot void on trigger enter. Then we'll say raycast let's see. I want to say so if the object that we hit with the ray is the object that entered the trigger, then we'll say detected target. Let's say data. Detected target dot invoke. Okay. So if our target transform is not null, then we'll say navmesh agent dot set destination target transform dot position. Let's see if target transform is equal to t. Target transform is null. Alright, so in our vision sphere, now we can set to detected target. So now, when we run in front of the enemy should chase us indefinitely right now. Maybe. Okay, that didn't work. Try that. Try giving it a rigid body that's kinematic. I'm not sure what happened there. So I think we need to set a layer mask on the vision sphere so it's only detecting objects that are on specific layers. And then let's see. Mask dot. Yeah, so I think what happened is it detected the ground and it was trying to path towards the position of the ground, which is like, I guess it's kind of close to where the... I'm not sure why it pathed to where it passed, but pretty sure it detected the ground. I made a utility function in another project. I want to still makes checking layer masks here. This so right now this function, the script that I'm grabbing, it just has one function. I'll show it to you. Just so layer masks are it's using basically I think it's a 16-bit number or a 32-bit number. Oh wait, yeah, it is 16. No, it's 32. So there's 32 layers that you can have, starting with 0 and going all the way to 31. So a layer mask is basically setting flags for each one of those layers, true or false. And so this function, it basically is saying, is this layer, check the value of this layer, and if you bit shift that layer, it should not equal to 0. Basically just a way to check to see if the layer that an object is on is contained in a bit mask of the layer mask. I don't know exactly how it works, I just know it works. So it's kind of complicated. But we only care about the player. So we only want to check to see if the object that entered the trigger is the player. That's what I'm getting at. So we'll say if other dot game object dot layer layer mask dot contains other dot game object dot layer. So we only want to do this stuff if the object that enters the trigger is on the player layer. So now the enemy shouldn't immediately run to some random point because it saw the ground. Love to run to a random point because I saw the ground. That's how Groundhog's Day works, right? He sees a random, or he sees the ground and then he runs to a random point, and that's how we know if he saw his shadow or not. Alright, so right now does not have a target because he hasn't seen me. So yeah, target transformers is none right now. But if I walk close to him, that should have worked. Let's see why that didn't work. So we're in the sphere. Let's just double check to see in the physics settings, player and enemy should be able to collide. Why didn't that work? It could be an error in the function that's checking the layer, but I've used that in other projects and it's worked just fine. So it could be a problem with the raycast. So we'll just, for now, we'll just comment this out. And we'll just say if the object in the right layer mask, then we'll say detected target oak. Now, the problem with doing it without the raycast is basically like if the player gets in front of the enemy, but there's like, say there's an obstacle between them, the enemy doesn't care as long as the player's close enough. Okay, yeah, that worked. So now the enemy's chasing me and will continue to chase me indefinitely. And so see how the enemy like pathed around this bounce pad? That's because the nav mesh has a hole there. And also the nav mesh agent will ignore or like try to avoid this saw blade. Can even chase me up the stairs or up the ramp. So yeah, this enemy is hell-bent on destroying me. So here's an interesting thing. I should probably make these things called off-mesh links. That basically you can link two points. So basically, like, if I drop off this edge, the enemy should also be able to drop off that edge and chase me. But instead, they try to find a safe path around. Here. No. So we're gonna leave that for now. We'll go back to the raycast thing in a second. We'll make another script that's called awareness sensor. And so the awareness sensor is going to do a similar thing. We're going to have a Unity event. The Unity event will be called lost target. And it will take a transform as its parameter. We're also going to have a layer mask. So we're actually, I'm going to copy some of this stuff from the vision sensor. But instead of detected target, we're going to say lost target. We need another close bracket. And then instead of on trigger enter, this is going to be on trigger exit. So this one, it's going to kind of work in the inverse that the vision sensor does. So when an object that is on the player layer exits the trigger that is my awareness sensor, then it should fire this lost target event with the transform of the collider that exited. And so what we can do here, as soon as it compiles, we can add our awareness sensor. The lost target function is going to call the lost target function on our enemy, and that basically clears out the target of the enemy. So the enemy will stop chasing us when we exit that trigger. I think I also need the body schematic. Alright. So if I can manage to get far enough away from him, he doesn't know where I am now, and so he's back into his so he doesn't have a target right now because I exited that trigger. This isn't going to be the best way to debug it because some of my gizmos are crazy, but so we entered that, and as soon as we exit that green, he doesn't know where we are anymore. So that's the basics of how enemies work. So we can turn this enemy character into a state machine and have different states based on whether it's aware of the player or chasing the player, or if it's just patrolling or idling. So I will come up with some ideas for that. 'Cause I think basically, like, you know, you can have an enemy that like patrols a specific route, or just patrols between 2 points, or just kind of picks random points in a sphere and like moves to those points and just kind of like, you know, mills about until it detects the player. And then we probably want it to do some sort of like reaction to express that it detected the player. So, you know, kind of like have it jump a little bit and maybe have like an exclamation point up here above its head, and then start chasing you. And then like when it loses track of you, maybe it has to like look around a little bit to see if it can find you. That sort of thing. So that would be a state machine with several different states, and then it might also have a separate state machine that's controlling the movement. It might not, because the nav mesh agent can control the movement of the nav or of the object, so we might just rely on the nav mesh agent for the movement. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up here and end the stream so I can watch the Nintendo Direct. See if I can catch some new Zelda footage. Excited for that. But I will probably be back here tomorrow around the same time, so stay tuned for more game dev. I have been Grizzhoot. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. You can catch up with my my development process on this Silly Frog game that I'm building here on Twitch, or you can watch the VODs on YouTube. I stream most weekdays. And I have also been doing a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer stream on Saturdays. And I think we'll be finishing up the game this Saturday. So if you're interested in that, come hang out and watch me kick Ganon's butt with whatever random items I find. Yeah, I'm Grizzhoot. Have a wonderful day. Bye.